Imagine being just 8 years old, standing in a courtroom and saying, "I'm my mom's lawyer." Sounds impossible, right? But that's exactly what happened, and what came next will leave you speechless. This little boy's words changed everything, and what he did next will blow your mind. If you're part of the Black Visionaries family, smash that like button now and hit subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories like this one, because you won't want to miss what happens next. The judge sat back, visibly surprised by the audacity of this young boy, yet there was something about his determination that was hard to ignore. The courtroom was still in disbelief, with the murmur of confused whispers growing louder. The judge, unsure of how to proceed, glanced at Marcus' mother, who was now looking at her son in a mix of shock and concern. Marcus wasn't just some child playing make-believe. He had done his homework. He had spent weeks studying the case, asking his mother endless questions about the eviction and reading through the legal documents, his small fingers tracing the lines of text as he tried to understand what was happening. He might have been just a child, but he understood the importance of this moment, and he understood what was at stake. He was fighting for his mother, for their home, and he wasn't about to let anyone tell him he couldn't do it. The courtroom was now waiting in silence, every eye on Marcus. His mother had always told him to stand up for what's right, and today, Marcus was doing just that. He was going to fight for her, no matter how big the challenge seemed. The judge, despite his skepticism, nodded slowly, signaling for Marcus to proceed. The world watched, waiting to see how far this little lawyer would go. Marcus knew that the case was serious, but he believed in the power of doing what's right. He couldn't bear to see his mother's tears anymore, and the idea of losing their home seemed too unfair for him to accept. So, despite his young age, he decided to dive headfirst into something he had no experience with: law. Night after night, Marcus sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by legal papers, trying to make sense of all the legal jargon. He would read the documents aloud to his mom, his small voice steady but unsure. He asked her about every detail. What's an eviction notice? Why won't the landlord fix the roof? Why is the rent so high? His questions kept coming, each one more insightful than the last. At first, Miss Simmons was skeptical, thinking her son was just trying to distract her from the stress of the situation. But Marcus' determination was impossible to ignore. He even started practicing his opening statement, pretending to speak in front of an imaginary judge. When the hearing day came, Marcus was more prepared than anyone had expected. With a stack of papers in his hand and a sense of purpose in his heart, he marched into the courtroom, ready to represent his mother. The judge, still unsure of how to handle the situation, looked down at Marcus with a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. He had seen many lawyers in his years on the bench, but never a child. Yet, something about Marcus' sincerity and determination made the judge reconsider. He gave a slight nod, signaling for Marcus to continue. As Marcus stepped forward, his small feet barely touching the floor, he held the court's attention like no adult had ever done before. His voice was steady, but there was a palpable passion in his words. "The landlord wants to take away my mom's home. That's not fair," he said, looking directly at the judge. The words hung in the air, and for a moment, no one moved. It wasn't just a legal argument. It was a plea from a child who had witnessed his mother's struggle. The courtroom, filled with seasoned adults, felt the weight of his honesty. The opposing lawyer, Mr. Daniels, fidgeted nervously in his seat, clearly caught off guard by the emotional power of Marcus' statement. People in the audience began to shift, their opinions changing. This was no ordinary case. It was a battle for justice, and Marcus wasn't backing down. Marcus' words continued to echo through the courtroom, each point cutting through the tension like a sharp knife. He spoke about his mother's tireless efforts, how she had worked multiple jobs to keep a roof over their heads, and how the landlord had neglected their apartment for months, leaving broken pipes and moldy walls that made it unsafe to live in. His voice, though small, carried the weight of years of frustration. What amazed everyone was how Marcus, with little legal knowledge, made a series of arguments that no one had thought of. He highlighted the fact that the landlord had violated the basic living conditions required by law. His childlike innocence made his argument even more compelling. He wasn't talking about legal loopholes or complicated statutes. He was speaking from a place of fairness, of what was right and just. The courtroom, once filled with murmurs of disbelief, was now silent, hanging on every word Marcus said. The judge leaned forward, nodding thoughtfully as Marcus continued, clearly impressed by the boy's clarity and maturity. Even Mr. Daniels, the opposing lawyer, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The judge, looking both stunned and moved, finally spoke. "I've never seen anything like this. This young man might not be a lawyer, but he knows more about fairness than some adults I know." The courtroom was still when the judge spoke, his voice carrying the weight of years of legal experience. After a long pause, he looked down at Marcus, who was standing tall next to his mother, his eyes filled with hope. The judge's words broke the silence. "In all my years on the bench, I've never encountered a case quite like this," he said, his gaze steady and respectful. "Mr. Marcus, your passion for justice is undeniable. You've taught us all a lesson today in speaking out for what is right. While you may not be a licensed attorney, you have certainly made an impact in this courtroom." And then, in an unexpected and historic move, the judge ruled in favor of Miss Simmons. He granted her more time to settle her debts, preventing the eviction. The courtroom erupted into applause, an overwhelming show of admiration for the young boy who had fought for what was right. Miss Simmons, overwhelmed with emotion, embraced her son tightly. Tears of gratitude filled her eyes. "You did it," she whispered, unable to hold back the flood of emotions. The story of Marcus quickly went viral, spreading across the country. His bravery, determination, and love for his mother served as a powerful reminder that even the smallest voices can create the biggest change. If you're part of the Black Visionaries family, hit that like button and subscribe now. You won't believe what happened next. This story is far from over. Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know what you think. And don't forget to spread the word, because stories like these deserve to be heard. Stay tuned for more unbelievable moments.